Good morning all. This is Dr. L.T. Hemalatha from BVRIT, Narsapur, the Department of Data Science. Today's topic is about NLP. So, Natural Language Processing. So, we have two NLPs. Now, our subject is Natural Language Processing. Here, what we will do with Natural Language Processing, it will build machines that understand the text data also in the form of human language. It is the computational linguistics, human language technology and natural language engineering. All this comes under NLP. Now coming to natural language processing, to the real world perspective, it involves both the processing as well as the amounts of text from the web corpora, converting the information into knowledge with applications, text classification, information revealing and extraction, whatever the words has been extracted, how much words to be summarized, we can say. All these comes under our NLP. Now, in NLP, we have natural language understanding and natural language generations. In natural language understanding, we have some spoken or typed sentences which really works out what does it mean. Now, in the generation, some formal representation want to say or express in the natural language, the human language. In the speech and language technology, why do we use NLP? Here, it relies on the formal models. We can say our Android applications, the Google translators. So, everything we need the simplified language where we can convey the message. Now, in the speech and language technology, it relies on the formal models or representation of knowledge of language in some of the basic levels which speaks about phonology, phonetics, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics and discourse analysis. Now, what is the difference between phonetics and phonology? Now, coming to this phonetics, we can say the universal details, the pronunciation. For example, we have two types of English like British and American, and whereas we have Indian English also. Based on the regionalism, our pronunciation definitely differs. Here, in the phonetics, it speaks about the universal details, how we create and interpret sounds, how does it has to be recognized, and the meanings also will change. Now, phonetics, phonology, we can speak the abstract sound system, the patterns, how do we create the sounds, and what particularly it means in that particular language system. When we speak about syntactic analysis, it will speak about the grammatical structure, the syntax. Any programming languages, basically we will understand the syntax, then we will develop the programming language. In the syntactic analysis, exactly it's a grammatical structure and how this transformation occurs, how it is related to each other, that speaks about syntactic analysis in our NLP. Now, in the semantic, what do we do with the semantics? It's the meaning. What is the meaning I want to convey here? Either it is in the usage of the phrases, clauses, or is the complete sentences, some of the sentences is a complete sentence, but sometimes with no sense. Some of the sentences, it's a complete sentence with some sense. It depends on the phrases and clauses again. Here in the semantic concerns, it's the literal meaning of the words, it's the phrases, sentence, how do we frame, as well as the dictionary meaning, as well as the exact meaning, annotation, we can say exactly. So, all this speaks about our semantic analysis. Now, in our discussed integration, what we do? It is a sense of the context where a single sentence, how does it depend on the preceding, the predecessor, successor, we say. So, how does it precede it and how do it invoke the meaning, how does it make sense in framing the sentences. This speaks about the discourse integration. And for example, she wanted it. It is the prior discourse. See, here we can see the example of codifying, decodifying. Some coding we have given and we'll be expecting the machine to decode it. How do we expect it to decode? Exactly the hypothesis. What is our hypothesis? To decode it. And finally, when we are sending the messages here, how do we decode it? That speaks. Now, here in pragmatic analysis, it completely speaks about our communicative language, our social context, as well as the effectiveness of the interpretation. Here, the main focus is reinterpretation, the tonal, we can say, the intonation, the falling tone, rising tone. Intonation makes lot of sense, like how do you spell. For example, here we have taken the example of close the window. So, what does it mean? Like if I speak politely, close the window, it comes under a request and they will close the window, like whomsoever it is concerned. Now if the same sentence has been spelled a little harshly, then it comes under an order. Here pragmatic analysis really discusses about how do we convey based on the intonation. Now, morphology. What we'll do with morphology? It's the completely components. It's the meaningful components of the smaller units. All the small chunks of data will be helpful to frame the bigger sentence, a larger sentence. Now, in the syntax and semantics, its syntax will speak about the structural relationships, how the words are put together in the form of correct sentences, what is the structural role, each and every word has its importance in the sentence. Whereas in the semantics, it's the meaning of the words, lexical semantics, as well as the combination of the meanings in the sentences. How does it make sense, the compositional semantics? So here the semantics speaks the lexical semantics as well as the compositional semantics. Syntax, it will helpful to frame the sentence in a proper structural order as well as the importance of the words it has. Now, what are the tasks of NLP? How does it is helpful to us? So it's based on the words based, component based, syntax based, semantic based and context based. The word component based, what do? It's the tokenization of the words. What do you mean by tokenization? So how do we split the words? How do we break the text? How do we help it to make the sentences or the phrases? Whereas the stemming is the process as we go through in the graphs, graphical representations, while we are doing solving some of the problems in our previous classes we have seen in trees, the parental tree, child tree, some of the nodes when we explore, we feel that further exploration is not required. There the pruning takes place. So in the same way, how do we prune some of the closed windows or the open windows there? Here the same way the stemming works as the cutoff of some prefixes or suffixes, whichever is not required in the sentence. Now in the morphological analysis, exactly it is splitting or breaking down the root and its component parts, which determines the root of the word. Now this POS tagging is syntax based again. And it is in the POS, as we know, there are 8 parts of speech. In this tagging, we'll also call the shallow parsing, the process of grouping the words, extracting the phrases, and we'll be analyzing how to identify the constituents to make the meaningful sentence. Here, in the syntax analysis, the process of identifying the structural relationship between the words to frame in the sentences. Now in the semantic based, it's the meaning of the text where we'll have the word sense disambiguation will be there. Will the task of identifying the correct sentence and the correct occurrence in a text, whatever may be the narration, we are going to frame it. Now this name entity recognition, it involves entity extraction, identification as well as categorization. This relationship extraction helps us for the relationship between the entities. Entities, like for example, we take some organization, the employees from the administration level, then to the teaching level, non-teaching level, programming level, all these comes under our basic extraction of an organization. Here, how do we take the name of an employee and their ID and which department they belong to? All these things comes under. Whereas the semantic based, it is completely between the buyer and seller. We can make it the abstract roles, exactly what I need, where I need to go. Now in the context based, we have discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is the study of ways where we will use units of language. We have constructional meaning as well as the level of the sentence. Co-reference resolution is also finding the task in all the linguistics expressions. Whereas pragmatic analysis, it is in the speaker's intention. Also the participant and cultural background also plays equally important role in that. Now what is the future of NLP? Now all this we are discussing about NLP. What is the future? Yes, definitely it is closely linked to the growth of artificial intelligence we have many branches seen in today's trend, the generative AI, prompt engineering, so many, all the fields we can say. It is closely, this NLP is closely linked to that AI field. Also, it helps the machines or the devices, the ability, what it is exactly trained for, and more receiving and giving useful resource information of data. Accordingly, we are planning, we are training the machines. Now, what are the learning approaches? We have many learning approaches, supervised and unsupervised machine learning techniques. Supervised, where we will be monitoring, will be giving the data. Unsupervised, like it is like we'll be giving the data and we will not be working on that. Whereas the transfer learning, transformers, which is closely related to our electronic and electrical devices, without that our machines will not function. And reinforcement learning, as we know, the reward is very much required in the reinforcement learning. Like when we pamper any student, like if we speak the positive sides of a student, then the student will be happy and there will be scope of improvement. There, this reinforcement learning is very much useful. We have multitask learning. Now the present Gen Z generation learning methodology is multitask. Some visuals, some chit-chatting, some of the lectures, all the multitasking facility in learning, and the use of knowledge and common sense for NLP. So this is what the basic information about NLP. Thank you.
Vishnu Audio Visual Center, like and share and subscribe and click bell icon.